Welcome to the Story Apothecary, a podcast filled with medicinal and healing stories. My name is Nana Timova, and I'm a storyteller and a pharmacist, and stories are medicines which I dispense. In this podcast, you will find my prescriptions of stories for the body, mind, heart and soul. So I invite you to join me as we enter the healing world of stories together. Hello, and a very warm welcome into the Story Apothecary. I'm so glad you could join me for another episode. This one is a special one for International Women's Day, so this episode will be released on the 8th of March to celebrate women everywhere and those that support their women in their lives. This time last year, I led a Women's Day story walk where I live, and we had so many people of all genders come to celebrate. It sold out and it was a beautiful morning, and one of the stories that I'm going to tell you today is one of the stories that I told in that walk, and I really love it. I carry on telling the story a lot, and it's not possible to lead another walk on International Women's Day due to the local restrictions that are here. However, I am so happy to record the story for you. I wanted to take this opportunity to tell you a little bit about International Women's Day. It's celebrated in many countries around the world, and it's a day when women are recognised for their achievements without regard to divisions, whether they're national, ethnic, linguistic, cultural, economic or political. International Women's Day was first recognised by the United Nations in 1977, but it really emerged from activities of labour movements at the turn of the 20th century, first starting in 1909. And this day is really important for a few reasons. Nearly 60% of the women around the world work in the informal economy, earning less, saving less, and are at greater risk of falling into poverty. Around the world, women earn 23% less than men. Women occupy only 24% of parliamentary seats worldwide. And 1 in 3 have experiences of physical sexual violence. UN Women have suggested 12 actions that everyone can do to work towards equality. These are share the care, and that's because women take on 3 times more unpaid care and domestic work than men, and so by sharing the care and that caring work, that time and energy taken away from women can be given to them to advance their careers, earn more money, and to enjoy leisure activities they love. Another one is to call out sexism and harassment. Another one is to reject the binary, for example using the words as mankind rather than humankind. Demanding an equal work culture, exercising your political right, such as voting, shopping responsibly, amplifying feminist books, movies, stories, poetry, teaching girls their worth. The words we use, like, oh, you're so bossy, you're so hysterical, or little princess. Challenge what it means to be a man. The words we use around manning up. Boys don't cry and boys will be boys. And those notions, outdated notions of masculinity, often discourage boys and then later men from openly communicating their feelings, being vulnerable, being open. Challenging beauty standards is also really important. And of course, respecting the choice of others, whatever decision they make about their body, their well-being, their family, or their future. And what better ways to do that, I think, than stories? Before I tell you the story, I wanted to thank my new Patreons, Josie, Jess, Binks, and Megan. Thank you so much for your support. It means that I can carry on making this podcast and keeping it free for everybody. If you would like to join my Patreon community, follow the link in the show notes. You could become a subscriber and get Baba Yaga's calendar, stories, folklore, vote which stories you'd like to get in the podcast, and get medicinal stories specifically prescribed for you. So join me on Patreon. I also wanted to tell you that in a couple of weeks' time, on the 20th of March for the Spring Equinox, I'll be telling stories Zoom, online, live. So come and join me and hear about the three Orisniti, the makers of fate, and learn if anybody could ever escape the fate they're given on their birth. Hear about the wild women dancing, the ones that do not keep a house, the ones that need freedom to roam the forests, those early herbalists who know the land, who know the herbs. And come and listen to stories about the young girl who needs to marry a Zmei, a dragon, and she is asked and led in the underworlds, across 7 underworlds, down, down, down to other worlds where other kingdoms are. She must go through quests, but she must do them dressed as a man. I love that story. It traverses genders. There is so much gender fluidity in there, and it's so beautiful. And all these stories, you can hear me telling live for the Spring Equinox. They're Slavic stories, Bulgarian, but I know that a lot of them exist in other Slavic nations and across many other countries that I've translated myself. And they're very special, and they're very, very old, and very, very beautiful. There's still some tickets left. So join me for Slavic Stories for the Spring Equinox. I'll put a link in the show notes also. But for today, I look forward to telling you this story. What is it that women want? One day, King Arthur was hunting in the forest with his men, his loyal men, when he saw in the distance a white stag. It's a beautiful white stag. King Arthur said, "Stay here. This one is mine." And so he got on his horse and he started galloping towards the heart of the forest where he had seen the white stag go, carrying a bow and a single arrow on his back. And as he saw the stag in the middle of the forest, his horse approached gently, quietly. King Arthur jumped off his horse and crept near that stag, deep in the forest, until finally he was able to aim very clearly. He took his bow, he put the arrow within that bow, aimed, whoosh, and released that arrow, which pierced that stag's heart, and it dropped dead in the forest ahead of King Arthur. As that animal fell, a tall figure, dressed in black, strong, armed, stepped from the shadows behind the trees and stood in front of King Arthur. "How fortunate, King, that we should meet this way after your arrow has already been released from your hand. You did a great wrong," the man said, "that you gave away your lands to your nephew, Gawain. And now I will repay you with death." "You don't get to be the king if you can't think quickly." And King Arthur said, "Look, just lay me here, with my greens, with no arrow, unarmed, and you fully armed. It will be a dishonour to you. Shame will follow you forever. I'll grant you anything, name it gold, silver, land, whatever you want, just to spare my life." That man dressed in black, he shook his head and cackled. "There is no land, or gold, or silver that I desire," he said. "But I tell you what, I will give you the chance to solve a riddle. We'll both meet here after a year and a day, and if you can tell me the answer to the riddle, I will spare your life. But if you cannot, I will kill you, and no person from the kingdom will object." King Arthur, somewhat relieved, nodded in agreement. "What is the riddle?" he said. The Black Knight answered, "You must tell me this. What is it that women want more than anything?" King Arthur's eyes grew wide. What kind of riddle was this? But he had given his word in honour, and he agreed. He said he would return in a year and a day with the answer to the riddle, with the chance to keep his life. And with that strong knight dressed in black turned and was gone in the shadow of the forest as quickly as he had arrived. The hunting party entered, back to Camelot, and King Arthur spoke to no one apart from his nephew Gawain, to whom he had told everything. "Do not worry, my king," said Gawain. "We'll both ride our horses. You will go east, I will go west. And wherever we'll go, we'll ask women, we'll ask each woman, what do they want more than anything? We'll find the answer to the riddle. Do not worry. And we'll go this way until we find the response which seems to be the most correct." They agreed. That seemed like a sensible option, thought King Arthur. And they went They went in different directions and they all each asked every woman they met, what is it that women desired more than anything? Interestingly, all the women gave different answers. Some said that they wanted to be well clothed. Some said they wanted not to be scorned. Others said they wanted to be respected. Others said they wanted beauty. Other ones said they wanted money. Other women said they wanted land. Other women said they wanted good husbands. Other women said they wanted strength. Others said that they wanted a man who would never prove them wrong. A different answer with each different woman that was asked. Sir Gawain and King Arthur scratched their heads. What would they do? Days turned into weeks, turned into months. They didn't feel they were a step closer to getting to the right answer of the riddle. Soon, only a single full moon was between this day and the day that King Arthur would lose his life. Both of the men turned downhearted and started galloping on their horse in the forest, thinking what to do. How could they solve this riddle? What is it that women wanted more than anything? One day, as King Arthur rode through the forest, he met a woman. She didn't really look like a woman, though. She was more animal than human. She was dressed in gold and silver. She had jewelry and fine clothes, but she was a wild creature, a foul creature. Her face was red like blood. Her nose was large and covered in snot. Her eyes were large and bulging, one big, one small. Her jaw was tilted. She was huge, approaching 7 to 8 foot tall. She had a greasy clump of hair on her head. Her teeth protruded in all directions. She had a hump on her back. Her shoulders were wide, and she had long, huge, hanging breasts. This lady, she steps up along King Arthur and said, "Godspeed, King Arthur. You may stay here and speak with me a while, or you may ride on. The choice is yours. But your life is in my hands." Well, that took King Arthur's attention. "What do you mean, my lady?" he said. "What business do I have with you?" "I know your quest," she said. "I know what you have been asked to answer. And I know all the answers you have been told, and I know none of them are correct. Only I know the correct answer. Only I am the one that can save your life. Grant me one thing, and I tell you the answer that you desire, or you will lose your head. The choice is yours." "What is it that you want?" asked King Arthur. "If I can, I shall grant it." "You must grant me a certain knight to wed. His name is Sir Gawain. I'd like to marry him." Well, King Arthur thought to himself, what a terrible thing. Sir Gawain is my best knight, and him to marry this loathsome creature. Awful, awful, he thought. And then he returned to that woman, to that hag, and he said, I cannot promise that Gawain will marry you. I cannot give him to you." "I do not want you to give him to me," said the woman. "I want him to make that choice for himself. If he chooses to marry me, then I will tell you the answer to your riddle." Well, King Arthur thought, "I'll come back here in a week with your answer. But before you go, what is your name?" "I am the Lady Ragnell," said the hag. Arthur went back to Camelot. He spoke with his nephew, Sir Gawain, and told him everything, apart from the request was for Gawain to marry her precisely. He didn't speak of the details so much. He only said that Lady Ragnar desired a husband. Was that all? Said Sir Gawain. My king, I will wed her. After everything you've done for me, after all the times you've saved my life, it will be my honour to wed her. And therefore my honour to now save your life in turn. And so, a few days later, a week precisely, after that first encounter, King Arthur strode on his horse to that exact same place where he met the Lady Ragnar with the answer that Sir Gawain agreed to marry her. Very well, she said. So now I will tell you the answer to your riddle. What women want, what women desire more than anything, is to have sovereignty over their own lives. And so the day had come. The day of the meeting with that knight dressed in black. And the knight said to King Arthur, So, my king, do you have the answer to your riddle? I do, said the king. And he started offering these answers that had been given by the women in the kingdoms. What women want is beauty. What they want is husbands that love them. What they want is peace. What they want is money. What they want is no. Prepare to breathe your last breath, said the Black Knight. Hang on, said King Arthur. I have one more answer. Fine, said the Black Knight. But after that, you will lose your head. And so King Arthur said, The answer to your riddle is this. What women desire more than anything is to have sovereignty over their own lives. No, said the Black Knight. You could see the steam rising from his nostrils. He was so angry. The only person, he said, that would have told you this was my sister, the Lady Ragnar. She will pay for what she has done. Now I can do nothing else but release you. So go. Go before I change my mind. King Arthur didn't need to be told twice. He jumped on his horse and he galloped all the way back to Camelot. A wedding needed to be planned. They wanted to have the wedding a quiet wedding. Not really a public wedding, not really during the day, just a very early morning quiet affair so that it could be kept as quiet as possible. So not many people would come, so not many people would find out. I must be wed openly. I desire a full wedding, with plenty of guests in attendance. She couldn't be refused. And they had to admit, really, if it was any other woman, they would indeed have a full wedding in plain public, a celebration. But for them, it felt more like a funeral than a celebration. How loathsome she was. And finally, when the wedding was there, and they walked, the other knights and the men stared, heavy hearts. The women, they cried. The best knight in the kingdom, Sir Gawain, to be wed to this. Oh, how they wished it was them, and the other knights, they just commiserated. What a sad day it was. After this sad celebration, it was time for the feast. A long table was laid out, with dishes, beautiful food. What a banquet. In silver and gold dishes. And I sat there to eat, and the Lady Ragnar watched her now husband very carefully. What was he like? How did he look at her? How was he towards her as she ate? And oh, how did she eat? She ate like a boar. She ate with her hands instead of a fork or a spoon and a knife. She ate with her hands, and she stuffed great palms of food into her mouth. She ate her bowl and another bowl and another bowl. She ate so much. And that food, it would go up her mouth, and instead of going down her throat and her gullet, it would come up for her nostrils, full of snot, and green gunk would fall on the table. And her teeth, they were more like boar's tusks. One was going up towards the ceiling, and the other one was going down towards the floor, and she shoveled food so noisily that you could hear it on the other end of the room. Oh, people said, disgusting. People lost their appetites watching this. Oh, what an unsightly sight. But Sir Gawain, his face was warm, his eyes were kind. He spoke with her with nothing but respect and warmth and kindness. And she watched this, and she noted this. After the great feast, they were shown into the bridal chamber for their wedding night. And Lady Ragnar turned towards her husband and said, Sir Gawain, now that we are married, show me your love with a kiss, for you know that if I was fair, you would not delay. Gawain said courteously, Of course, my lady, I will. A kiss, and more. And as he approached his bride, and he went in to lean and kiss her, before him he saw a beautiful woman. He gasped and jumped back. What is this? Some sort of sorcery? Some sort of witchcraft? Who are you? I am your wife, she said. Sit down. I'll tell you my story. And they sat down by the fire. And she said, Some years ago, I was deformed by enchantment by my brother, the great Black Knight. He put a spell on me because I would not give him my treasure, I would not give him my land, and to curse my beauty, as you see it now, he turned me into what you saw before. And so now, my husband, you have to make a choice. You need to choose whether you'll have me like this, in my true form by day, or a loathsome hag by night, or a loathsome hag by day, in my true form by night. It is your choice. Oh, what a choice, says Sir Gawain, what a choice. To have it beautiful by night. Or how sweet the nights would be. How my heart would sing, but to have you as a hag during the day, what people would say. Or to have you beautiful during the day, what people will celebrate with me, I can walk with you proudly. But to have you as a loathsome creature at night, oh, how heavy the nights would be. And the choices went round his head. Oh, which one should I choose? Well, I cannot choose, he said. I cannot choose. It is you who must choose. You'll choose, and as by your husband, I will abide by whatever choice you make. Said the Lady Ragnar. Well, now the enchantment is completely broken. You shall have me fair by day and by night. For the only thing that could release me from this awful curse was the granting to me by my husband of his own free will what women desire more than anything, which is sovereignty over my own life. And Sir Gawain, you indeed have given me sovereignty over my own life. And they both embraced and had the best of nights. And the following day there was another feast. And what a feast it was, what a celebration. I wish you could have been there to see it. And they lived happily together for many years. But I think that Lady Ragnell, sometimes by her own free will, she transformed herself again into that loathsome hag. We all know we need that hag in our lives. And from time to time, she re-emerges. And that is the story of what is it that women truly want more than anything. I hope you enjoyed the story. You can see why it's one of my favourites. There isn't much to tell about the story really. It speaks for itself. I think its message is really important. I think as human beings, we all want sovereignty over our own lives. Some of us are lucky to have it. Some of us, not so much. I'd like to leave you with this potent message that what people want all over the world is sovereignty over their own lives. May you have sovereignty over your own life. May it be so for you. And with that, I wish you a good day and a good week and a good month. And I look forward to welcoming you in the Story Apothecary very soon. Goodbye. Thank you to Infeathers for writing, producing and making the beautiful music for this podcast. Thank you for joining me in the Story Apothecary for healing and medicinal stories. I hope we'll meet again. Until next time.